Well, I have to say that I feel somewhat validated. Not that I'm really happy about this, but it's just a thing. So Square Enix posted this posted this tweet the other day. Which Final Fantasy game should I play first? It's a common question, so let's answer it with a link. Which game would you recommend? Um, And I found this little piece about Final Fantasy 15, which led me to make this post. In a well written article, Square Enix acknowledges that Final Fantasy 15 was the true first action based Final Fantasy. Told you Final Fantasy 16 was being misadvertised. I'm not going to use the term false advertised because I don't think it was. And trying to overshadow 15. Just saying, not saying that 16 is bad. But yeah, I'm gonna go into the link here. So I think this is actually a very good article, and I'm going to copy this so I can post a link to it in the description for you guys to go read it. So maybe you are curious which Final Fantasy you should play first. Um, but yeah, they go over every Final Fantasy from 1 all the way to 16, which I thought was really cool. The actual correct answer, of course, is any of them, which is true. You should really play the one that looks the most appealing and is the most accessible to you in terms of cost, device, and where you can play it. Yeah, any of that stuff. The only thing that I would like to say against what this article suggests are games like Final Fantasy 11. While it is an amazing game, it is the better of the two MMOs in my opinion, and it has from what I would say, the best story, the best soundtrack of any Final Fantasy. So why don't I suggest that people play this one? If it is the best story, the best soundtrack, why don't I suggest playing this first? Well, the problem is it is an MMO. It does require a sub. You have to buy the game. It requires a sub. The login server is really old and archaic. The graphics are really bad unless you do like all these community built add-ons. It's a struggle, and the game is 20 years old. They say it's clear that this game has staying power, which it does, but they sorely need to update this game. They need to give it a new login server. I highly suggest they just make it free to play. Give it a new login server, a new look and feel, and they invest in selling cosmetics. There's a lot of there's a lot of room, since it is an MMO. There's a lot of room for having cosmetic growth. People always want to have new flashy equipment and stuff like that. You get a Mog house, so there's like furnishings and stuff. I think you had an island in Final Fantasy 11 as well. These are things that they took over to Final Fantasy 14 because they might sound familiar. But yeah, you had all that good stuff in Final Fantasy 11 as well. So they have room for cosmetic growth and microtransactions there. And the same goes for Final Fantasy 14. It's just not as accessible because you have to buy the game, you have to pay for the sub, you have to go through the whole login server to make the account and the lodestone. Like both of these games, Final Fantasy 11 and Final Fantasy 14, sorely need their login servers updated, fine tuned, made more accessible and easy to access, and most importantly, make the game free to play. You have microtransactions. You sell the game outright. Why am I selling a subscription, or why am I paying a subscription? Like, selling the additional utility things like the extra retainers, and stuff like that. The specialty mounts and cosmetics, that stuff's fine, and people, I see people buy a lot of that stuff. I know someone that has like 7 retainers, and he'd probably buy more if he didn't have to subscribe every month. So just remove the subscription, make it easier for people to access the game and play the game, and it'll be infinitely better. But yeah, so moving back on into Final Fantasy 15, the things that I wanted to point out from what the article says specifically about Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15 opens with a statement of intent, a Final Fantasy for fans and first timers. That is a tagline that you see reused in Final Fantasy 16, which is fine. I appreciate that they are embracing that tagline, and I hope they continue to use it moving forward so people know they can play any number Final Fantasy as an entry into the series. It offers up a large world filled with quests to complete, vicious monsters to hunt, secrets to discover, and for the first time for a numbered Final Fantasy game, a spectacular action-oriented battle system. See, this is what I was saying. It annoyed me that they kind of advertised Final Fantasy 16 as the first action Final Fantasy, when that is a blatant lie. It is not true. And I don't like that they're overshadowing Final Fantasy 15, who's an amazing game that had an unfortunately troubled development history, which made the launch of the game pretty bad. But they added a lot of the stuff that was cut it back into the game over time and made it a fully fleshed out, well written, well playing game. It was just, Final Fantasy 15. I put up near the top as one of my favorite Final Fantasies. I wish that it had more of the content that was cut out, of course. And I feel bad for the developers that worked very hard on content that did get cut out of the game. But unfortunately, that is the state of gaming, that investors are pressuring companies to put these games out too early and make these bad decisions with their games, and we're seeing it across the industry. And I hope that Square Enix has learned a valuable lesson from this, from the what happened with Final Fantasy 15 and from what happened with Final Fantasy 16 underperforming in sales because of exclusivity status. I really hope they learn moving forward and are just promoting these games properly and putting them out there to be more accessible to a wider audience, because that's what's really holding them back, in my opinion. Let me see if they said anything. It just, you want a battle system that's action oriented rather than command based or turn based is what they're saying there. But yeah, and then in Final Fantasy 16, what I don't like to say about here is you want to witness some of the most jaw-dropping moments of spectacle in the series. Again, Final Fantasy 15 had massive jaw-dropping spectacle. The summons in Final Fantasy 15 were absolutely incredible. And the ones in Final Fantasy 16 just kind of felt like a copy paste redo. Well, not enough people played and experienced the spectacle of Final Fantasy 15. So let's pump up the spectacle aspect of Final Fantasy 16. I really hope that more people that played and loved Final Fantasy 16 go back to experience Final Fantasy 15 and realize what they missed and kind of realize what I'm saying, because I don't have hate for either of these games or Square Enix in my heart. I just really want them to break this exclusivity thing. I want them to stop restricting their mobile games to just mobile when lots of mobile games are making PC clients. They just, across the board, they just seem behind the times, and they really undervalue themselves as a company and their fans, and they should be putting their products out from day one on every platform they possibly can, and I think that they would see massive improvement in um, the amount of players that they player retention, new players, all that stuff. But yeah, as always, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. But yeah, Square Enix, please put your games out on every console and your mobile games out on PC. You're really shortchanging yourself. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.